boys and girls. This is part 2 of my lesson of comparisons. So today I'm going to teach you that when poets write comparisons, they can make it even more powerful if they stick with that comparison throughout the whole poem and stretch it out over many lines. So the anchor chart says in front here that we stretch out a comparison over many lines. And we can do that by including action that goes along with the comparisons. Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, in this poem, Robin, by Amy Ludwig van der Water, she takes a robin bird and compares it to an artist. I want you to listen to the poem carefully. And the robin that's an artist remains an artist throughout many lines. Listen to how it's written. An artist lives in an old oak tree. She works with mud and wood and fur to build a sturdy twig collage. Her masterpiece is small like her. Blue eggs will nestle in this art, framed by branches way up high. An artist lives in our old tree. Her museum is the sky. So notice she talks about the robin and how she works with mud and wood and compares it to like an artist who works with maybe clay and paint. And she builds things. She makes masterpieces, and her masterpiece is the collage, which she makes, which really is her nest, right? And it's framed by, and the frame is the branches around it, like you would frame a picture. And where is her museum? Her museum is in the sky, where her nest is way up high. Super cool, isn't that? Okay, I thought you would enjoy that one. Okay, that poem is in your packet. Let's look at the next one. Okay, this poem I chose again because children, when I was rereading the poem Lullaby by Kristen O'Connell George, I realized that this has a comparison in it, this poem, and it's carried through all the lines of the poem. It's stretched through the poem. And what she does, and I'm going to read it again because we heard this one before, but I want you to think about this as I read it, that the tree that's mentioned in the poem is like a mother-like person. The tree acts like a mother. And throughout the poem, the comparison between the tree and a mother, the tree being compared to a mom, is stretched throughout the poem. Okay, listen up. Tree sighs softly as the birds patter about her heavy old branches, settling down, tucking their heads beneath their wings. She waits until dusk has shadowed her leaves, and when she's sure she's heard that last soft cheep, she rocks her birds to sleep. Okay, boys and girls, the tree is compared to mom, like a woman going sighing softly, like, oh, and she waits and she listens and she rocks like a mom rocking her baby. She rocks her birds to sleep. Very cool. Okay, boys and girls. So if I'm writing a poem, which I have to do this week, I'm going to think about something I could write about and compare it to something else. So this is a picture of a classroom, and I want you to hear the first draft of this poem. Mornings, I come in, the classroom is sleeping. I push chairs in and straighten tables. Then the children come. Okay, this is a pretty good first draft because here in this poem, I'm writing that the classroom, I'm comparing the classroom to a sleeping person, right? Remember that sentence? And then I'm like, okay, I'm done with my comparison, okay? But then I'm thinking to myself, Well, I want to now stretch that out further. I want to carry that comparison throughout the lines because that's what Mrs. Grotsky told me to do. So let me see. So if I was a child writing this, I would say, well, how can I do this and stretch it out? So let's look at my next version. So this is my revised version. Mornings. I tiptoe in quietly. The classroom is sleeping. I slide the chairs and tables into their spots. Careful not to bang them. The classroom needs its rest. Then the children clang, clatter, banging, and wake up the room. So look what I did. I added all this action in to show that it's almost like I'm really going into a child's bedroom, okay, and waking up a child, right? I'm going in and I tiptoe in. And I'm very careful. I don't want to make too much noise. I slide the chairs in and the tables. I'm trying not to make any noise. I'm not trying to bang anything yet until I'm ready to wake you up, and then clang, clatter, banging, and I wake up the room. Like maybe a mom's tiptoeing in and then try not to make any noise until she's ready to wake you up and say it's time to get up. Okay? So the comparison is stretched throughout the poem. Here's a poem that a little second grader named Elizabeth wrote. She wrote about a dandelion, and so here's a beautiful picture of one. If you forgot what it looks like, that's what this is a dandelion. And she compares it to a lion. Listen to what she writes. It's like a lion sleeping in the grass, then jumping up and chasing a zebra and another, and then getting old with a gray mane, the hair is blowing off. Kind of clever, isn't that clever? It's like this is the lion's mane, the hair around the lion's face. And she compares it to like first it's sleeping in the grass because that's where you find a dandelion, right? And then they're jumping up and there's so many of them. And then all of a sudden you start to see them flying away, little parts of the dandelion flying away. And she calls it like gray hairs blowing off. I thought that was very clever. And here's another example I wanted to show you. That here we are all lined up to go down to a classroom. We're walking in the hallway, we're going down to a classroom. And maybe we're going to, let's say, the lunchroom. So I'm going, okay, let's think about this. When we line up, I think we look like a train. So my first draft, I go like this. We line up like a train. So I'll line up, I'm comparing it to a train. Pretty good, okay. And go down the hall. Where are we going? All right, I decided to the lunchroom where we sit down. That's a good poem, and that's fine. I used the comparison. But now I want to take that train idea and I want to kind of go with that and stretch out that train idea. So I start thinking, well, what do they say on a train? They go, all aboard. So then I put that in the poem. I go, all aboard. We line up like a train. And what's the sound the train makes? And chug down the hall to the next stop where we fuel up. Okay, just like a train, it's chugging down, it goes to stops, and then they fuel up. We're eating food, so we're getting energy, and we're eating food in the lunchroom. Super cool. Okay, boys and girls, I want to go back to your assignment. It's difficult, and I understand that, so do the best you can. It's basically telling you on page 6 that you should read the poem, The Robin. Okay, so reread that poem that I read to you already. And it compares the robin to an artist. Okay, and then it tells you to try it out, to think about a comparison. And think back to the poem, which we talked about, the pencil sharpener to buzzing bees. And they tell you to look around your house and yard and think, how can some of these things be compared to something else? What connection can you make? So try out a few different poems and see what you find and see what works for you. And be sure to read them to your family. Then they want you to do the second part, which is what we did together, which is, a new twist to the comparisons. They want you to look over the comparisons and try adding some action like we did. We tried to say, well, we line up like a train. Now I'm going to put some train action into the poem. So that means you're extending the comparisons. And we did that with the poem Mornings. I come in, the classroom is sleeping. I push chairs in and straighten the tables. Then the children come. It's extended here with action. We act out what it's like. We tiptoe. I tiptoe in quietly. The classroom is sleeping. I slide the chairs and tables into their spots. Careful not to bang them. The classroom needs its rest. Then the children clang, clatter, bang in, and wake up the room. The action is stretched out here. Okay, boys and girls. So what they want you to do on page 7 is to use this paper to write your published piece. Or you can use your poetry notebook. And when you're done, once you've picked the one that you want to publish, after you wrote several different poems and tried it out, you're going to take the published poem, take a picture of it, and send it to your teacher. Okay, boys and girls, you can do this. Okay, have fun. Happy writing. Bye-bye.